Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I feel privileged to be able to address the nation on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of the independence of our beloved nation, Trinidad and Tobago. In doing so, I am thrilled to subsume my position of the Leader of the Opposition, Parliamentary Representative for Diego Martin West, and Political Leader of the People's National Movement. As important as these official positions are, I am more than delighted to transcend these temporary titles and address you simply and humbly as one of your fellow citizens, elated and proud of our nation's unparalleled achievements over the past 50 years. It gives me even greater joy when I reflect upon the fact that these are your achievements, the outstanding outcome of the dedication, determination, dexterity, and collective effort, skills, sweat, and tears of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. My elation is further justified, convinced as I am, of the vast unused and untapped potential which reside in all of us to continue the challenging but rewarding and exciting journey forward. This unfathomable reservoir of our tested and proven human potential over the past 50 years augurs well for the future. On August 31st, 1962, when our nation's flag was first raised, we felt a sense of tremendous pride in having removed the shackles of colonialism. We also, of course, felt some trepidation as we began a journey into the future, not knowing what the future would bring. But we were invested with hope, hope that the energy and creativity of our people would bring us success, that our leaders and civil society would steer the ship of state wisely and with integrity, with love for one another, regardless of race, color, creed, or geographical origin. Today, I would like you to join me in reflecting on some of what we have achieved so far on our journey as a sovereign nation. Let us ponder collectively on the mood of the nation at the present time. And finally, let us set our sights on the journey that remains to be completed. We must all appreciate that the foundations for the event which occurred at midnight on August 30th, 1962, had been laid in the struggles of our forefathers over previous decades. We must not forget the contributions of Captain Arthur Cipriani, Tubal Uriah Buzz Butler, Adrian Cola Rienzi, Albert Gomes, APT Fargo James, all of whom, in various ways, challenged colonialism and demanded that Trinidadians and Tobagonians have an increasingly greater say in their representation and in charting the course of their lives. Without question, it was the entry of Dr. Eric Williams into the politics of Trinidad and Tobago in 1955 and the PNM's success at the elections in January 1956, which accelerated the drive towards independence and nationhood. Dr. Eric Williams not only founded an enduring political party, the PNM, but as an Oxford-educated historian of international repute, he appreciated that the key to genuine economic independence lay in an educated population. Education of all the people to enhance their skills and knowledge and to increase their capacity for governing themselves was critical to the success of an independent Trinidad and Tobago. He was determined to eradicate the substandard primary schools in which teaching took place and to give all of our nation's children access to secondary education. It was upon the pillar of universal free secondary education that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, pinned our hopes and aspirations for the future growth, social mobility, and development of our beloved country. Free secondary education was the foundation stone upon which the father of the nation, Dr. Eric Eustace Williams, staked the future of the country, steadily increasing the number of beneficiaries as new secondary schools were built and the teachers were trained. One of the major offshoots of this policy was the National School Feeding Program. The number of university scholarships was increased as resource permitted. As time went on, we established the UWI Institute of International Relations, the UWI Institute of Social and Economic Research, UWI School of Education, the Cipriani Labor College, now renamed Cipriani College of Labor and Cooperatives, and the University of Trinidad and Tobago. A new nation requires its own institutions of state, since it can no longer rely on the institutions of the former colonial power, Privy Council notwithstanding. We established a range of these institutions, among them the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, issuing our own currency, the Public Service Commission, the Police Service Commission, the Teaching Service Commission. By 1970, we were able to have our first local central bank governor, fellow Tobagonian Victor Bruce, and our first local commissioner of police, also fellow Tobagonian Eustace Bernard. We established the Elections and Boundaries Commission and reduced the voting age from 21 to 18. Since independence, we have held 12 general elections, many of which resulted in peaceful changes of government. The PNM participated fully in every one and emerged victorious in 8. We established our local Court of Appeal, and our first Chief Justice was Hugh Wooding, a distinguished jurist whose tenure set the tone for the outstanding practitioners that this country has produced over the last 50 years, some of whom have gone on to international acclaim. Our judiciary has served us well over the last 50 years, upholding the rule of law, steadfastly maintaining judicial independence and the doctrine of the separation of powers. I thank our judiciary for their dedicated service. Human rights and freedom of the press have been largely upheld by successive governments, and whenever threatened, zealously defended by our citizens. As an independent state, we needed to have the capacity ourselves to defend against external aggression. Our military did not get off to the best start, given the events of 1970, but redeemed its reputation during the attempted coup of 1990. We salute those who have served in our regiment and Coast Guard over the last 50 years and thank them for their dedicated service to Trinidad and Tobago. We took our seat among the community of nations in the assemblies of the United Nations, the Organization of American States, and the Commonwealth. Our leadership role in CARICOM remains the centerpiece of our commitment to regional integration. We have played a significant role in global affairs, along with other Caribbean territories, in establishing the regime for the law of the sea, the ending of apartheid in South Africa, maintaining relationships with the people of Cuba, resolution of the Guyana-Venezuela border dispute, and advocacy in the G24 for a new international economic order. I thank our many distinguished career diplomats for their outstanding service to Trinidad and Tobago and helping us to punch above our weight in international affairs and diplomacy. In the fields of sport and beauty, Hazley Crawford, Wendell Motley, Atto Bolden, George Bovell III, Richard Thompson, and most recently Kishon Walcott are some of the world-class athletes who have brought us Olympic glory. Brian Lara was a colossus in the world of cricket for 2 decades, and the Soca Warriors ensured that ours was the smallest country ever to participate in the World Cup. Janelle Penny Commission, Wendy Fitzwilliam, and Giselle Larond brought us tremendous pride with their victories at Miss Universe and Miss World. In March 1968, we were delighted that the Vatican saw it fit to appoint Reverend Anthony Pantin as the first local Roman Catholic Archbishop of Port Spain. At the time of our independence 50 years ago, our economy was dominated by foreign-owned enterprises. Foreign investment was and remains important for our growth and development. However, as an independent society, we endeavored to have local talent effectively manage and control our economy and other aspects of national life. Moreover, we localized the banking and insurance sectors. Barclays Bank DCO became Republic Bank. Royal Bank of Canada became Royal Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce became Bank of Commerce, and the Bank of London and Montreal became the National Commercial Bank, NCB. We created the Workers' Bank, which was eventually merged with the NCB, and the Trinidad and Tobago Cooperative Bank to form one financial institution, now proudly known as First Citizens Bank. We established the Unit Trust Corporation, the National Insurance Board, and the Home Mortgage Bank to make mortgages more affordable to the less privileged. Foreign-based insurance companies became locally owned and operated, much to the benefit of the national community. We utilized the resources from our oil and gas boom of the 1970s to create the Point Lisas industrial estate and the petrochemical sector, which is now one of the pillars of our economy, hosting both foreign and locally owned world-scale plants, many of which are run by locals who benefited from the expansion of educational opportunities provided by the state. The Point Lisas industrial estate today stands tall as the largest and most diversified petrochemicals-based industrial complex in the Commonwealth Caribbean, exporting methanol, urea, and steel from sites previously covered by sugarcane stalks. Our major export income today comes from LNG as we monetize our natural gas resources. We also appreciated as a nation that we needed to improve the health status of the population if we wanted our citizens to be productive and happy. We built health centers all over the country to promote and expand primary health care services. We constructed the Mount Hope Medical Sciences Complex, modernized healthcare delivery facilities, and provided treatment at all healthcare institutions, free of charge. As in most areas of national development, local professionals took charge of the operations of the utilities, which were mostly in the hands of expatriates. Supply of electricity was centralized and put in the hands of TNTech. Electricity rates were unified to ensure that Tobagonians no longer paid more per unit for electricity than their counterparts in Trinidad. Tobago, which enjoyed full electrification, now has a natural gas pipeline and electric power generated at Cove Industrial Estate. Similarly, Central Water Distribution Authority, CWDA, became WASA. Bus transport was taken from the shaky hands of disjointed private companies all over the country and placed under National Transit and later PTSC. Internal telephone service was placed in the hands of Telco, now TSTT, and external telecommunications was lifted out of the hands of Cable and Wireless and placed under the authority of Textel. We became owners of BWI, British West Indian Airways, now called Caribbean Airlines, to provide assured air transportation for our citizens. In 1975, we saved the sugar industry, replacing the reluctant UK-owned Tate & Lyle with Caroni Limited, and supported this industry for a further 30 years until the external markets finally disappeared. We converted Wallerfield, Carlsonfield, and Caroni into the nation's food basket. In the East-West corridor, we built the priority bus route. Chaguaramas, inherited at independence as a United States naval base, is no longer out of bounds to the local population because we fought and had the peninsula placed under the sovereignty of our new nation for use and enjoyment by all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. In the high inflation years of the 1970s and even today, we subsidized the cost of electricity, water, bus, sea and air transport to and from Tobago. We kept the cost of gasoline down so that all continue to enjoy the wealth of the land. We rescued our world-renowned Angostura bitters from being sold into the hands of Venezuelan business entrepreneurs and brought respect and dignity to the steel bandsman through corporate sponsorship, bringing an end to steel band clashes, carnival disturbances, and gang warfare. We introduced the Prime Minister's Best Village program, which unearthed numerous extraordinarily talented individuals. Our people continue to transform Carnival into the greatest show on earth. In furtherance of Caribbean unity and protection of our expanded markets, we made and continue to make significant contributions to the economic and financial challenges of our CARICOM neighbors, particularly in their times of financial stress. These are but a few of the major highlights of our exemplary achievements over the past 50 years. I have taken time to outline these achievements because I have found that many young persons in our society have either little or no appreciation for the historical foundations of our independent society, or have a distorted revisionist perspective on it. Our independence was achieved without a shot being fired against colonial rulers, but it has been tested time and again, and over the last 50 years, solidified and fortified by the sterling efforts of our leaders in government and civil society to build a united and strong nation. One of our major achievements for which we must all take credit is the preservation of national harmony as we acknowledge and celebrate our cultural, ethnic, racial, and religious diversity. To what can we as a people aspire over the next 50 years of our independence and beyond? Fellow citizens, in pointing the way forward, one thing is very clear. The time has come for all of us to focus on building Trinidad and Tobago. Ours must be a society which rejects mediocrity, greed, graft, and corruption. Our nation must be devoted to law and order and the imperative of seriously reducing the spate of violence and lawlessness in our communities. Ours must be a caring society which abhors hatred, is intolerant of mistrust, indecency, and divisiveness, and one in which we must all join together once and for all in putting poverty to flight and living the words of our anthem, wherein we aspire that every creed and race will find an equal place. Our mission must be to strive to build a society based on fairness and excellence in thought and deed. The vision must be to restore Trinidad and Tobago to those values, moral and spiritual, which were once the hallmarks of our national endeavors. For after all is said and done, our maturity as a nation will be determined not by how many birthdays we celebrated, as symbolic as these milestones may be, but more by the quality of our achievements and the quality of our lives and the lessons which we have learned from our successes and mistakes. We will be judged by the ethical standards to which we subscribe. Our track record of successes and failures may have determined who we are today, but in the final analysis, we as a people are responsible for who we become. To the youth of our nation, you, our young people, must have absolute faith in the power of your potential. The most that any nation can do is to give you the start and the opportunity to develop. How you finish depends upon the use to which you put your vast potential. There are many Trinidadians and Tobagonians to inspire you to do good and to become the best that you can be. You can all climb to the top of your game or your profession, even becoming world-class or internationally recognized in your chosen field. Nothing and no one except you yourself should prevent you from aspiring to achieve greatness while ascending the stairway of success. To do so, you must immerse yourself with the passion for excellence in all that you do. Admittedly, as parents and leaders, too many of us have failed to set the right examples for our young people. Standards have fallen in all sectors, in the way we dress, the way we speak, the normal courtesies which we expect of each other, the way we write, the way we interact with one another, and worst of all, we no longer see ourselves as our brother's keeper. No wonder so many of our young people head in the wrong direction. They follow the example which we have set and accept these behavioral patterns as the new norm. Together, we need to address this. On this, the 50th year of our independence, I call upon my fellow parliamentarians to take the lead by enhancing the quality of debate in the Parliament, focusing our attention not on maligning, demonizing, slandering, or in scoring cheap political points, but rather on treating with the issues and ideas, the policies and the programs, the views and opinions which will enrich our lives, enlighten our minds, uplift our spirits, and make us a better people. Where there is haughtiness, let us replace it with humility. Honesty and fullness of information, cordiality and mutual respect must take precedence over animosity. Camaraderie must displace bitterness. Virtuosity must overtake venom. We must all be prepared to be held accountable for our individual actions or inactions. In addressing this major problem, we as adults must not fall prey to underestimating or undervaluing the wealth of wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and power which reside in the young people of our nation. It is our sacred responsibility to bridge the widening generation gap as we reach out to you. To those Trinidadians and Tobagoans abroad, I would like to say that we consider you as an essential component of our beloved nation. You may have taken up residence in some other land, but you are and will always be one of us, a valuable resource. Trinbagonians to the bone. I urge you to fly the flag wherever you are and take every opportunity to proudly promote our country and its people. We here at home always look forward to welcome you back, whether it is at Christmas, Carnival, on your retirement, or whenever. Fellow citizens, there is no doubt that regrettably, this golden jubilee of our independence comes at a time when our nation is facing an unprecedented degree of heightened uneasiness, deep uncertainty, and troubling turbulence. There's a yearning desire for good governance. The global economy is experiencing the worst recession in 75 years. The mood in the country reflects an abnormal level of disquiet and discomfort among us, all of which, to say the least, cannot be allowed to continue indefinitely. However, today is neither the time nor the occasion to dwell or expand on this, as urgent and expeditious as the demand for a solution may be. The time will come when, as leaders, we will all be judged way beyond the boundaries of the ballot box. Fellow citizens, there will be difficult days ahead, long ones, tedious ones, and treacherous obstacles too. But putting our country back on track will be one of the most mutually rewarding, self-satisfying, and enriching experiences any citizen of Trinidad and Tobago can enjoy. The virtue and value of accepting responsibility for the disturbed state of the nation reside in the humility which we display in admitting to our imperfections and, more importantly, in hastening to learn from the mistakes which we as a people have made, regardless of the ground on which we stand. But this is celebration time, and also an opportune time for reflection and introspection, and the time to look ahead as a united and resilient people. So, as we celebrate, let us together focus on the road that confronts us. Let us move forward together as one people, build on our legacy with goodwill to all. For together we aspire, together we achieve. Thank you for the opportunity to share these thoughts with you. Happy Golden Jubilee. God bless you all, and may God continue to richly bless our nation.